Hey guys, and welcome to another video. I hope you're all having a really wonderful half term. I'm sure like me, you've just been busy trying to do work, but then you're getting bored of doing work, and then you're not doing work, and then you feel bad you're not doing work. That's basically how my last 2 weeks have been. So lots of you guys have asked me to make a video about some tips on applying to medicine, and this video, I'm not gonna lie, is more for year 11s and year 12s, and hopefully these are some things that I feel like I learned in the last year that I realised, oh, that's really important, or I shouldn't do that, things like that, which can hopefully help you too. And these are kind of just based on some things that people have been asking me in the comments or just messaging me. So I hope this does help. So the first thing that I would say is year 12. For me, I found year 12 as my research year. I went into year 12 being like, I want to do medicine, but I wasn't completely sure why I wanted to do medicine, I won't lie. I think in the years below that, like in year 11, I was like, oh, it seems really interesting, working with people, but I couldn't, like I didn't have any proper reasons why, and so those kind of reasons are hopefully what you find out in year 12. For example, I went and listened to some lectures, and I was like, that's really interesting, I can kind of, do that. Or work experience, I went on my placements and I was like, right, okay, I saw this and this and that, and actually I realised I actually really like it. I read a book, and that, all those kind of small things, personally for me, they're what helped me make the decision that I want to do medicine. If I didn't read them, watch them, go to them, I probably wouldn't be so confident in applying for medicine. So that's something that I would say is really important for year 12. Hopefully you've done some of those things. You do not need to have read 1,000 books. I literally read one book and 1.5. I think there was a book on mitochondria that I read like 5 pages on, then I got a bit bored and I was like, not for me, it's more kind of biochemistry. There was another book by Richard Dawkins that's like the whole world reads, but I didn't get with it. I read a bit, then I got bored, so I put it away. Then I finally kind of decided on a book, and it was Hippocratic Oaths, which like no one's heard of, but it was a really good book. And it was the only book that I did read. I mentioned it in my personal statement. I never had to talk about it in my interview. And yeah, I think definitely read a book, because I learned a lot from my book basically. And so I definitely recommend you reading one, but you do not need to have read loads and loads and loads. Just choose one or two and really understand it, and that's all. That you'll be fine. In terms of the extra bits, for example, any lectures, any courses, things like that are really great. I know with the courses, there are lots and lots and lots of medicine courses out there which are like, oh, for year 12s, here's a medicine taster course. Are they good? I went to one, I can't remember the name of it, I went to one at the beginning of year 12. It was good in the sense that I was like, right, okay, this is serious, these are the kind of things, like I didn't know much about the UK CAT, I didn't know much about what to include in a personal statement at the beginning of year 12, and this definitely kind of put me in like a focus of, right, this is what I need. So would I recommend, if you're someone who doesn't know much about applying for medicine, and that's okay, I would say maybe go to them, but don't spend a lot of money. Some of them are so expensive. And in terms of finding where you can go for them, if you literally just Google medicine taster courses for year 12s, there are hundreds nearby. But like I said, please don't spend loads and loads of money. And also, if you're someone who feels like you know a fair bit about it, maybe you have siblings or friends who have applied, then there's no point going on it basically. But if you're someone who'd like to have, like they say, a bit of a taster about it, get to know a bit more about medicine and applying for it, maybe go for it. I went to one, and to be fair, I think I paid about £20 to £30, which is like a decent amount for a whole day. But yeah, like I said, if you feel like you would want one, go for it. But yeah, like I said, year 12 is very much your evidence year. You need to be picking up things that you can maybe be talking about in your personal statement and in your interview, and so hopefully you've got those things locked down. The main thing that I would emphasize on is work experience. Work experience is just crucial. Like universities, that's very much, it's not a they would like to see it, it's like they need to see it. So I would hope, if you are in year 12, you've at least organised one work experience. If not, please organise one. If you're in year 11, I would say try and get some kind of work experience placement within year 12. You do not need to have months of experience or, oh, I need to get at this department or a specific one. For example, I wanted to do paediatrics, and I still do. And so I was like really like, oh, I need to get one in paediatrics, otherwise they're not going to be able to, like, no. As long as you have a couple of days in a hospital doing work experience, it does not matter what department, that is fine. all you need to do is be able to reflect on it and be like, I learned this, this and this, and then that made me realise this, this and this, and I enjoyed and didn't enjoy this, this and this. Those are the kind of things that you need to be getting. And personally, I find work experience is so important, not just for the university, but for yourself as well. Like, you learn a lot from it. Is it just like on a general scope, do I enjoy this? Do I enjoy this kind of setting? Am I someone who can do this day in and day out? For example, I had some friends who did their work experience and realised that actually, you know, medicine isn't for them. And those kind of like realisations, it's better the earlier it happens. You know, you need to be like realising, is medicine the course for you? Or is it something that your family, you know, or your friends are kind of being like, you should do it. You know, you should be doing it because you're like, this is right for me. And I think that is definitely something that, you know, throughout the whole of med school, people sort of like question with themselves, but try and get that cleared up earlier on. So yeah, like I said, work experience, I highlight that, I bold it, I capitalise it, so important. Please at least get that one placement and then you'll be fine. Okay, so yeah, just generally just do lots of research in year 12, get to know lots about it, try and talk to the medical students, or watch a couple of documentaries. There are loads of cool stuff on the BBC about kind of medicine and the NHS. Just learn more about it, and you know, if it's something that you're like, I'm enjoying this, then that's a good thing. If you're going, oh, I don't know if this is for me, it's too this or that, then kind of reconsider. Lots and lots of you guys ask about GCSEs. So, if you are in year 11 and you haven't got your GCSEs yet and you're there like, I want to do medicine, but I need to get 10 A stars, like you're pretty much like me. When I was in year 11, I was in that mindset of, well, I thought I would get 7 A stars at GCSE because that's kind of how I kind of just predicted myself. I was like, yeah, I'll definitely get an A star on that one, that one, and that one, and that, and that, and that. And in my head, I needed to get at least 8 to 10 A stars if I wanted to get into medicine. That's how I saw it as. Is that the reality? Absolutely not. When it came to my GCSEs, in the end, I got 4 A stars and 6 A's, which I think are still good grades, but obviously me then was like crying and was like, that's it, that's the end of my dream. I'm not going to get anywhere with those. Obviously very melodramatic because, you know, I did. Yeah, you do not need to get like 8 A stars and above to get into medicine. If you get those grades, brilliant, 10 out of 10, good stuff. But you do not necessarily need to get those grades. Most universities, you will realise when you do your research, have different criteria. Not all of them have the same, and it's really important that when you are applying later on in September of year 13, you understand that. Most universities will look at your GCSEs, your UKCAT, and your personal statement. Personal statement, I would say, is quite ambiguous. Like, you don't know what makes a good statement or a really bad one. Like, it's quite hard to define a good statement. Whereas with GCSEs and UKCAT, they're quantitative, so it's a lot more easier to kind of compare. For example, universities like Oxbridge, Cardiff, Edinburgh, Birmingham, these ones are very much GCSE heavy, and this is a term that you'll be hearing lots and lots. GCSE heavy basically means they weight the GCSEs a lot heavier. So that if you have really good GCSEs, you should probably apply to them because they like them. And then you have UK CAT heavy, which is the other thing where they go, we really like a good UK CAT score and we want applicants with a good UK CAT score. So if you have a good UK CAT score, apply to those unis. A really good website, the Student Room, has a really good page called Applying to Medicine, where it basically has every single medical school in the UK and their criteria. I advise you to go check this out. I have it favorited. That website was like my holy grail of an applying to medicine, because it told me basically, don't apply to this one or this one or this one, look at these ones. For those GCSE heavy unis, they tend to like 7 to 8 A stars and above. So for some of you guys, that's brilliant. Take a look at those. You do not just have to apply for them, but what I feel like, and I've said, you know, for ages now, medicine is very much about, do you suit this uni's criteria, as opposed to, is this uni good for you? Of course, it's important to look at their teaching style and where the uni is and all that kind of stuff. But when it comes to applying to medicine, because it is so competitive, it is about, am I likely to get an interview from that university? And that's really important. So you can see that's reflected in the universities that I applied to. I applied to Southampton, Manchester, Newcastle, Bristol, and then my backup, York. And so my GCSEs were 4 A stars and 6 A's, which universities class as modest. And my UK CAT score was 790, which is a high UK CAT score. So I went with Southampton, Manchester and Newcastle for the primary reason that they are a UK CAT heavy university. Bristol was a bit of a gamble. They looked at a personal statement, like I said, ambiguous, and so I didn't get an interview there, which I wasn't too surprised about. But with the other three, it was very much, you've got a high UK CAT, you're more likely to get an interview. And I do advise you, when it comes to applying for medicine, it's tactics. It's about looking at, right, what do I have, that works? Which one likes my criteria? Which one likes my stats? And then going at it like that. And in terms of your GCSEs, most unis would ask for a minimum A requirement in maths, English and your sciences, which, some people are going to find easier than others. If you are currently in year 11 and you haven't heard back yet, don't worry too much. Up until you get the results, you can only make a decision based on that. There are, however, some unis which offer lower grades and lower criteria. However, you have to be in specific they have, I don't know how you would explain it, but some unis basically, if you are from a disadvantaged background, for example, you are you're the first in your family to go to university, or you come from a school that isn't so good, things like that, they will have a set criteria, and so it's more relaxed, if you like. So if you have lower grades, you can, if you do fit into that criteria, you can apply based on that set criteria. But I don't know much about it, as you can see. I know more about the general unis, and I would say you do need to get probably an A in maths, English and sciences, which I know is a bit tricky for some people who have already got their GCSEs, and I know lots of people have messaged me being like, but Manisha, I've got a B or a C in maths, what do I do? Honestly speaking, I'm not someone who knows the answer to that. Probably a careers advisor at school, or individually emailing the university admissions and ask them at each university, these are my GCSEs, would that work? I don't know, maybe resit the subject. I'm not completely sure on that, so I don't want to say something that's wrong. So I would say definitely talk to someone at your school who know more about that. So if you have the GCSEs that probably aren't strong enough, talk to someone else, I would say. But yeah, so those kind of GCSEs, and if you don't have the top GCSEs, try and ace that UK CAT. I'm going to move on to UK CAT now. What is the UK CAT? Some of you might be wondering. It is an admissions test that is basically, I think, compulsory for every single medical school. You may have heard of BMAT. That is a similar-ish medicine test, however, only Oxbridge, Imperial and UCL, and maybe a couple of others require it. It is, I think, a bit harder. You have to write an essay. It also tests science as well as maths. It's a bit more tricky in my opinion. However, if you are aiming for one of those unis, then go for it. Otherwise, just focus on that UK CAT. UK CAT is tricky-ish. It's something that you need to practice a lot at. It's kind of like a driving test. You need to put the practice in, otherwise you will not get the score. For example, some of my friends didn't try. They kind of was like, oh, it'll be fine. They did a bit of practice, maybe got a book, did a couple of hours of practice, and that sort of gave them a score that wasn't as competitive. I spent 2 weeks on my UK CAT, and that might sound a lot, might not sound a lot. For any of you wondering that, I basically did 2,000 questions. I use Medify, which is a really, really good online website, which basically you pay for a subscription to their database of questions. It's brilliant. Basically, use Medify. It's fairly expensive. I paid about £30 for a 2-week subscription, but honestly speaking, like anyone who used Medify and used it really, really well, they tend to get a better score because it's so similar to the real thing. I spent 2 weeks, did 2,000 questions on it. I worked quite hard, and it's during your summer, so you've got 6 weeks off. Just 2 weeks focused on this can make a massive, dramatic difference to your interview. Get a chance of getting an interview later on. And so yeah, I worked hard. I got my score. Do I think it's just about working hard? No, I do think there's a certain amount of luck that comes into it. But yeah, for your UK CAT, definitely work hard. But I would say only really focus on that about July. I think you can apply to take it between July and October, I want to say. So don't even think about that now. Just have it in the back of your mind, but don't focus on it for now. Just work on those AS levels. And yeah, that is kind of what I would say about year 12. Year 12 is your starter to going for medicine. I'm not going to say it gets easier, because year 13, hopefully if you get your interviews, you need to focus on that, and you need to focus on A-levels. It's hard. But I think my main thing is that I want to say it's not impossible. I think I was like, oh my god, imagine if I get into medicine, like that's so unrealistic, like it's not impossible. That being said, it's not easy. It takes a lot of hard work. It takes hours and hours, and I cried a lot during the whole thing. But if you try your best, and if you talk to people, and you try and get as much help as you can, then it's not impossible. And it is possible, and you can try, and you can get what you need. And yeah, that's kind of what I would say in terms of being in year 12, being in year 11, and applying for medicine. It seems like a dream. I know when I was in year 11, year 12, I was like, oh, I wish I could get into medicine. I wish I could do that. And yeah, if you take each step and if you work hard and you try your best, then yeah, sometimes it works out. But yeah, that's everything from me. I feel like this is a really long video. I'm sorry. I'm so tired now. But yeah, I hope that helps. Once again, if you have any questions still, comment it down below, or message me on Instagram @_ManishaP, or on Twitter @_ManishaP. That's pretty much everything from me. I hope you have a brilliant rest of your half term. Don't work too hard, but still work a little. I have my 18th birthday on Monday, so I'm really excited, but I'm like, oh, it's weird, I'm turning 18, what's happened? How has this happened? I don't know, it seems like it's all came really quickly. But yeah, that's all from me today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, subscribe to the student room, and check out my own channel, Bit of a Fangirl. And yeah, that's all from me, and I shall see you sometime soon. Bye!